Hey guys, again here at Open Digital, and in this video we will be going over this use case right here that you see in front of your screen. It's a centered navigation bar. We're going to be building this in Webflow clearly. And the point of the centered navigation bar is we have a logo being in the center of the navigation on the left side, and on the right side we have navigation links. Clearly not the most common use case, but it is still something that design-oriented companies do. As you can see, this is mostly a blank project. We have page wrapper main section. And with that being said, let's get right into it. First things first, we are going to add a nav bar, and we are also going to add the div block. We're going to turn the div block into a header. There we go. And we will place the nav bar into the header. Now, header will be a fixed element that is going to be on top of the screen with the 999 Z index. Now we have the header and we have the navbar. What are some things we need? Well, first things first, I really hate the container elements, so I'm changing that into the custom container. So we're adding brand, we're adding nav menu, and we're adding the menu button right here. We're calling this container, let's give it, I don't know, 300 pixels, 100% width. Let's make it auto on the sides. And this way we have proper container set. Awesome. Now, container has three things: brand or logo, nav menu, and menu button. Menu button is clearly hidden because it is something that will be available in responsive. So tablet down, this is the default behavior. Or we need to make sure that brand is in the center. How do we do that? Well, first of all, we need to add container is nav combo class and make it relative. We're giving combo class because we want to make sure that the container is not the same as everywhere else. So maybe we'll want to make it different. And we added the relative class on top of the combo class, right? So brand, let's give it an image inside. Let's place a logo. Got logo. There we go. Oh, and by the way, let's just style this navbar and give it a background of white, but we want to give it like 10 or 20% opacity, maybe 20. Let's do 15 and make it slightly blurry. Background filters, blur. This is fine. Awesome. Now we have a container. Let's see. So this is about 60 pixels. Let's give a min height of 60 pixels. Awesome. Now, what we want to do is make sure that the brand is with the class nav logo. We're going to make sure that it is absolute. We're going to give it 50% to the right and transform minus 50%. There we go. This way it's absolutely centered. And let's see, we need to make sure that this container is also centered. Now the logo is centered as a whole. Now nav menu, we'll get the class nav menu. It will be flexed and space between, like so, and 100% in width. And we can see here we have three links. We need to add two lists and call them nav links wrap. We are going to make sure that they have no bullets set. Actually, let's just style this one first, and then we will be able to do for the second one. Let's make sure the gap is 60 pixels in between, or 40. 40 is good. And copy that over. So there we go. We now have two link wraps. Let's add these links into the list items. And we are doing this for accessibility purposes. Let's add this in. Amazing. Now let's give each nav link a class nav link. Awesome. Now they are white. So there we go. Now we have us a navigation that is centered, but we are not done. We need to make sure that all the lists have 0 pixels on the bottom to make sure that the navigation is kind of working properly, right? Okay, so now we have appropriately added links. We have a logo, but we need to make sure that the logo is with larger z index than the nav menu. So there we go. Now it is the case. Let's have it go to the home page. Awesome. And maybe give it some sort of hover state where it's increasing in scale by 1.01. There we go. 1.2 is fine. Maybe 1.05. Give it a transition. Hit transition for transform 200, and there we go. This should work well now. Maybe we want to, instead of animating the logo itself, we want to animate the image inside, right? So let's remove this and animate the image. Now, how do we do that? Usually what happens is there is an embed with the style, in case you're using Client First or Lumos or any other frameworks. What we are going to do is we are going to target nav logo, and on hover, we are going to target the image inside, and we're going to say that here we're going to transform scale 1.05, and this should do it, but we're going to give it a class logo to the image, and we are going to add the transform transition. This way it kind of transforms a lot better. It's really centered in terms of the hover effect. Now, there is another thing that we need to do. We need to make sure that these nav links have no padding on the sides, first things first. And secondly, we need to make sure that they also have no hover states. Now, the hover state that I like is the underline. So I'll take this class. I'll go back to the style sheet, or not the style sheet, but embed. On nav link, we have a hover state, right? But before we go over the hover state, let's make sure that we understand where the line comes in. So if we have an element, we can give it a before pseudo class. Content must be empty. Position absolute, bottom 0 pixels, left 0 pixels, transition with 0.3 second is out, and background white. We need to make sure that height is 1 pixels and width is 0%. Now, on hover, the before element will get a width 100%. Let's see if that works if we give it a relative. There we go. This works well. However, now if we go into the second breakpoint, we see that we still get these ugly hover states. Or not ugly, but we get these hover states. What we need to do is we need to make sure that these hover states work only in desktop breakpoint. So at media, only screen and min with 191 pixels. That means that this will work only on desktop breakpoint. Awesome. So we'll see now that this does not work. It only works here, but does not work anywhere else. Right. Now that we have all the hover states set into place, how about we take care of the responsive? We want to make sure that in the responsive version, we still kind of get the benefits of the logo in being on the left and the navigation bar being on the right. So take your logo, make sure it's static, remove the transform, and also, by the way, always give the container paddings. Usually 32 pixels paddings are going to be fine. There we go. And we can see clearly that this is done well. Nav button should be white. Now, what we need to do is we need to make sure that on navbar open, the nav button is going to be transparent. Amazing. However, another thing we need to make sure is the nav menu needs to have paddings on the top and on the sides. There we go. Also, probably want to make sure that it's vertical. And it technically is vertical, but we need to make sure that these nav links wraps are vertical. And also, probably a good idea to get the padding on the bottom. And maybe we can remove this padding in the nav menu. Maybe we're going to change the paddings here. There we go. So this looks good. However, we need to make sure that this is also white, but the white needs to be same as in the navigation. So let's copy over the background color of the navigation. And there we go. We can now make sure that this will work in landscape and the mobile responsiveness as well. And yeah, this is it. This is how you build a centered navigation in Webflow. It works well, it's responsive, it's accessible, everything works great. With that being said, there is another video on adding navigation links to your Webflow navigation. In case you want to make sure that you're doing that part right, feel free to watch that video first, and then you can just adjust whether it's a drop down with drop down links or it's just a link. You can make sure to change the destination and change the text as needed. Hope everything makes sense. Hope you like this video. In case you did, please give it a like, subscribe to the channel, and I will see you in the next video. Bye bye.